Hello and welcome back here. Remember that my name is El and I'm alright. I'm always excited to answer your questions. So remember to always send me those questions via WhatsApp or drop the questions now in the comment section. I'll pick those questions up. I will do a blog post of them. I will do a vlog on them so that you can get the answer. I enjoy answering questions, especially when it has to do with law, sex, relationship, marriage, and mental health. And this is what the RS Passion is all about. Okay, before I continue today on today's topic, and today's topic is something amazing, right? Okay, you must have seen it right now on the screen, which says, do men always want sex? Do men always want sex? Well, before I answer that question, I want you to subscribe. Yes, subscribe. Please, I beg. Ejo, be cool. Whoa, whoa. Subscribe, right, and hit the notification bell so that you'll be able to know every time we'll post a video. Now, do men always want to have sex? For me to answer that question, I will start from us understanding one basic thing we're taught in economics those days in GSS, yes, junior secondary school. You know, in economics, they say that scale of preference, when drawing your scale of preference, you draw a table, right? On one side of the table, you write your wants. On the other side of the table, you write your needs, right? So your wants and your needs on the table. You list all those things that are your wants and you list all those things that are your needs. Now, the question here has to do with, do men always want sex? Remember what we are taught in economics. If you never taught that, so welcome to my class, welcome to my tutorials. We are taught, and I believe that that explanation and that definition has not changed today, because many things about our school system has changed, is the fact that many things have changed. Is the fact that wants are things we can do without, and needs are things we cannot do without. So we need wants for pleasure and enjoyment, but we need needs. We need needs. What's the synonym for that now? We need needs, right? Our need for survival. So shelter is a need. It's not a want, right? Shelter is a need. Clothing is a need. Security is a need. Food is a need. And right now, the world is evolving to also include that security is a need. Yes, security is a need. And they have also added that sex is a need. Sexual satisfaction is a need also for humans. But then, do men always want sex? This is actually what I want to answer today, right? And so when it comes to want, biologically, it appears that men always want sex. If you need to understand the physiology of men, right? Because usually it is said that a man gets to have 5 to 8 unwarranted sexual arousal, or rather erections, in a day. So in a day, an average male will have about 5 to 8 erections, whether he was sexually stimulated or not. Not because he saw some images or because he saw anything, but definitely, usually, to keep the penis alive. And remember, the penis is just Moses and the rest, right? I'm not a medical person, so allow me explain it in a layman way, right? And it does not have bones. What happens when you get an erection is that the heart pumps lots of blood into it, and so those lot of blood makes it firm. Just the same way, if you pump air into a balloon, it makes the balloon firm, right? So what happens is that once in a while, the body pumps blood fully to around the body into the penis to keep it alive, and there's so much blood there, the blood withdraws again with time, and later it goes in there. So because of the biological nature of a male, he would have several erections in a day, and when he has this erection, his want for sex will be heightened. His wants. Remember, I started by describing by explaining the difference between wants, things we can necessarily not live without, that we need for our survival. When he gets these erections, his wants gets heightened. So ordinarily, at that time, he may just want sex. Now that he gets an erection does not necessarily mean that he has a desire. he has a need for sex. Because this is one thing many teenagers need to understand, many teenage girls and many adult girls. Interestingly, this question is not just from teenagers. It is a question that we have had to answer from the older women who have been several years married in marriage, and from the younger girls who are just beginning to understand guys. Right? So it's a question for everybody, not just for a particular age bracket. Now, the fact that he has an erection does not necessarily mean that he has a strong desire or a need for sex. It just means that right now his body is going through a biological, physiological experience which may create a want for sex in him. That he has an erection does not even mean that if you offer him sex, he's going to accept it. Right? He just has that feeling. He just has that hormonal reaction. But over time, he has come to learn to understand that this is just the human body working. Right? So sometimes we get, we are even depressed and we get erections sometimes. Sometimes males are high on alcohol and they get an erection. Sometimes they feel empathic and sympathetic towards the person or a situation and they get an erection. It is something that is biological and physiological. However, do men always need sex? Well, regarding whether men always need sex depends on the man's what we call honey cycle, his sexual cycle, right? Now, the way God has designed the human race and designed the world, because we see the same thing in other animals, is that there is a strong desire in the male to always have sex. And why? Is so that their own species does not go into extinction, so that their male species does not go into extinction. That's why for animals that are being that are going to extinction, endangered species right now that the world is protecting, they usually try to find a healthy male and do everything possible to protect that male, because the future of each species depends on him. So they always want him to be able to mate with many females, especially for those of you who are into animal husbandry, who are into dog breeding. You know how important it is for your mate to always want sex. Right? You know how important it is for your mate to always need sex, because it's the existence, the continuous existence of that particular species of your farm depends on it, depends on the male, right? So when it comes to needy sex, God has designed males in a way, and through our biology, that we get to always want to have sex. We get to always have this need of sex to be able to procreate, to keep our species in existence. Usually, you may think that it is just for the male pleasure, it's just so that men, they will always have sex, they will always have fun. No, it is something that many men necessarily, although we have mastery and control, but we don't actually have control of stopping it from coming. We only have control of when it comes, of whether we are going to use it or not, whether we are going to act on it or not. But stopping it from coming, we necessarily do not have control. Why? Because by biology, our species, our race must not go into extinction. So some men have some honeysuckle. Some men, their honeysuckle is every 3 days, some every 5 days, some every 1 week, some every month, thereabout, wherein they just have this crazy craving and desire for sex, where they just believe that, oh, if I don't have sex today, I'm going to die. If I don't have sex right now, my penis is going to cut off. You know, when we talk about all the conjugies and the rest. But when it comes to want, every day, the may get an average of 5 to 8 erections thereabout every day. So if it's possible, he could literally have sex every day. But that is just a want, it's not a need. When it comes to the need is usually based on his sexual cycle, his honey cycle, his honey phase. What is the cycle? How long can you really stay without sex? That's usually what's called, how long can we really stay without sex? And this is why some health organizations are beginning to argue that sex is a need. It's a basic, in fact, they have added to basic human need. That from the way it is, and from the sexual exposure that is out there, from the special content we get to consume out there, It is not healthy for a human being, whether he's male or female, to go for a very long period without sex. It will make you become very irritant, and increases anxiety, causes anger issues and the rest. And so that's why I usually tell people, if you don't want to be having sex, do not bother entering into a relationship unless you want to get married. Because if you are entering into a relationship, if you are dating, then your hormonal activity and the desire at that time with such increase, you definitely start facing frustration. You start becoming easily angered and easily angry and the rest, and you start suffering anxiety, depression and the rest. So that's why you usually tell people, do not get into a relationship unless you want to get married, and do not do a relationship for too long a time, because you would have frustrated yourself sexually. I've talked with many people who dated for very long time, and they will tell you that they will never advise anyone to do that because it's crazy. It was terrible on their hormones. And many people who have had sex or want premarital sex that they never really wanted, they never really desired from the beginning. They set the rules that say, in this relationship we are not going to have sex, and at the end of the day they ended up having sex, was because to some extent the relationship was too long, and so it was too demanding for them to continuously say no for such a long period, for such a long time. So do men always want sex? Yes, by the definition of want. But do men always need sex? No. No, not really. They don't always need sex, but in their cycle, every now and then, for those who are married, they get to have it. Once you are a male and you are now sexually active, or you are already sexually active, you have set in motion your honeysuckle. You have initiated something in your life, in your biology, that you will need therapy to reverse. And so once you have had sex, you will always want it to survive, sort of, right? So that's more or less like it. And ladies, know this, that a guy wants erection does not mean that has an erection does not mean that he really wants to have sex with you right now. It is just something that is biological. It does not. I know some of you think that he must be perverse, especially for all those communities where two people still take bikes and the lady can be in between the bike rider and the guy behind him, and maybe the guy behind him gets an erection and she feels embarrassed, or you're talking to a guy, you're hugging a guy, he gets an erection and you feel embarrassed and you think that the guy is a pervert. It is not. It is just his biology at play, and sometimes it may be based on what he sees, right? Because you're beautiful and you're sexually attractive, or based on even what he smells, the perfume you are wearing. Remember that you usually go for the feminine perfumes, and feminine perfumes are designed to attract males. Masculine perfumes are designed to attract females. Simple biology, simple logic, simple science. Right? So it could be just your perfume that is arousing him. It could also be the tone and the pitch of your voice, especially if you are ovulating. Your voice and your pitch naturally sounds more sexy. You may not have control over it, you may not even notice, but of course it is biology. Biology has designed it that way, that when you are ovulating, you are able to send out chemical signals, right, that automatically attract the male. So it can be pheromones that your body is sending out. It can be the sound, the sexy sound that your voice is sending out, and the rest that is just making him aroused. It is not because he's a pervert. And hey, even if no woman was there, he will still have about 5 to 8 erections in a day. Thank you so much for watching this. Send in your questions. I would love to answer all of them. Drop them in the comment section, or send it to me as WhatsApp message. Remember to subscribe if you have not subscribed, and share this video with your friends so that they get to learn the same things that you learn. My name is El, and I'm alright. You rock. This very you.